Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Lisa. From department store model to rubbing elbows with Madonna, Lisa has experienced everything from leading humanitarian missions to speaking on hundreds of stages across the world. She labels herself a mother, life coach, author, transformational speaker, TV host, and avid traveler with an MA in spiritual psychology. Her fascination with people has taken her to over 60 countries, landed her a documentary series on Amazon called Soul Blazing, and set her up to run her own retreats and workshops around the subject of leading a more purposeful life. So excited to have her here. Welcome, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for taking some time out of your day to sit and chat with me a little today. I had a chance to kind of go through all of your stuff and so much. You've done so much. So I want to ask, what does success mean to you?
So success to me means what I said earlier, I think, knowing how to love and knowing how to accept love. Because I feel one of the hardest things in the world is to love and accept yourself and to really get to know yourself and be truthfully who you are. If you don't know who you are, someone else will tell you who you are. So I think we're all on this journey, a soul's journey, to discover who we are and how can we be a blessing in the world. Because I think we all were given a gift, and it's our job to uncover that gift and give it away to be of service. So if you find out what that is and you give it away, you're a success.
Yes. So I want you to expand a little bit, because that little thing that you said about if you don't know who you are, somebody else will tell you who you are, or something like that. Yeah. It sounds very cliche. It's like something you'd see scrolling on Facebook, and I'd screenshot it and be like, yes. Yeah. But it wasn't until I really started to dive into personal development where little cliches like that actually like really resonated with me. Mm-hmm. Can you give us just a little more on what that means to you?
Yeah, I think from my childhood, we were taught you have to be this way, sit this way, smile like this. You could smile, but not too loud. Otherwise, you're a whore, especially if you show your gums. Sit with your legs crossed with your hands like this in your lap. Otherwise, guess what? You're a whore. You always got to dance one song, sit down, don't dance anymore, or you're a whore. So it's like all these rules. You're Republican because that's what we are. This is how you think about this. This is how you think about that. This is what everything about you. This is who you are. This is who you're going to marry, So after the gun incident, I thought, okay, let me recreate myself. Who am I if I didn't have any of that? And going on that journey is very hard because you keep slipping back into it because we're hardwired that way. So in order to find out who you really are, you really have to strip yourself of being you. You have to break up with yourself and create a new personality, because your personal reality is just, impression of your personality. So once you start going, oh, I wake up every morning and I get my cup of coffee, and I just don't wake up in the morning and get a cup of coffee. Set your alarm to 30 minutes earlier. Get up on the other side of the bed. Maybe do yoga first thing in the morning, just a few stretches, write in your journal. So the way to start switching things up and really knowing who you are is doing a morning routine. And I found a lot of successful people do that. And it's changed my life. If you get up and actually make your bed, meditate for 10 to 15 minutes, an hour, if you've got it, on this new version of yourself. Take the time out to write about who you are. Like if you're single, even if you're married, think about who you want to be married to and become that person. So all the qualities you like and respect in someone else. So if God, I'm just fundamentally lazy, or I just don't cook, or I just don't, what is it that you would love in a spouse? Then write those down. This is who I am. Then start stepping into them. Use your little cards and write down, like this is what I'm stepping into. And one little thing, like I'm working on bettering my cooking of all plant-based foods. So it's like cook one meal, every 3 days or so. So get the ingredients one day, the next day, find the recipe, then get the ingredients, then cook, something like that. Break it down so it's not overwhelming when we're so busy.
I love that.
Yeah, but taking the time to do it, piano, I just got keyboards, and I have a piano downstairs, but upstairs a keyboard so I could practice so nobody could hear me. I just want to know the basics of that. I haven't done that for a long time. So I start playing a little bit in between like these calls, and 10, 15 minutes, just play a song or two and learn something new, do scales for a minute, it just helps you become you. And then I have thought leaders, or not just thought leaders, but people around, because they say you are the 5 people you hang out with the most. So I've got Gandhi, Simone de Beauvoir, who wrote The Second Sex, the first book of empowering women. I've got Oprah. I've got Herman Hesse, who wrote Siddhartha, among other things. Anais Nin, who is that revolutionary woman who wrote in her diaries. I've got John Lennon and Wayne Dyer, Eve Ensler, who wrote the Vagina Monologues. Audrey Hepburn, because I love her beauty and grace, Maya Angelou for her poetry and her writing. So I'm looking at these people all day as I'm writing, and I take them in, and I have their books here, and I'll just open a passage to get their feeling, because, I want this quality from this person, that quality from that person. And it really helps to create who you are.
Yeah. I love Audrey Hepburn. She was in Sabrina.
Yes. Yes.
She's the original Sabrina. Great movie. Yeah. I want to, I was going to say something that caught me off guard. Well, I want to ask, what was the example that you gave of the food? Okay, that's what I was going back to, is the food. I think that this is great with the plant-based, because a lot of times when individuals are trying to, let's say, get healthier, and they're like, okay, that's it, we're going vegan. And it's just like this whole thing of like shifting identities from one to the other. And can that work? Yeah, 100%. But most of the time it doesn't. But using the technique that you're talking about here, where you're like, hey, listen, not so much pressure. Let me just introduce it, 2 times a week or 3 times a week or whatever it is, and then actually have a step-by-step plan on what that's going to look like. It just feels so much easier to do some sort of transition when you're actually blocking it up like that. I think that that's fantastic. And the reason I think it's fantastic is because the next question I wanted to ask you was, at what point are we good enough? Because a lot of times when we're living our life and we already feel like there's not enough time, like already we're like, not enough time. Then you throw in personal development, and you recognize that like half the stuff you're doing is wrong, and you're supposed to be doing it this way, not that way. And then you're like, where am I supposed to come up with the time to sit and meditate and do like a morning ritual that Lisa's talking about? At what point will I be good enough? And it can kind of get heavy. So I want to kind of like join your one idea of that you were talking about with the food and like breaking it up, but then also ask to kind of give a little more substance to the audience of what is your theory on being good enough? Are we ever good enough?
Yes, you're good enough as you are right now. Everybody is. However, um, life is so full and so rich. And if you want to expand and grow, I think there's no better quality in a person than curiosity, and how to keep developing yourself and learning something new, because that's what keeps you young. That's what keeps you interested in things and interested in others and having commonality. And all we have is connection. If you don't, we're tribal people and we have to, be connected to others. Otherwise, there's a hole in us, a loneliness. So cooking is one thing that really brings people together. So good enough is really, like, I saw Jane Unchained. I love her website. I met her at an event. She was a newscaster and she does everything vegan. Now she went into movies. She's movies starring pigs and everything. It's like really fun, talking about pigs having dinner and humans are being cooked, and I'll have a finger, I'll have a couple of toes, I want the right thigh. I'm eating. I mean, it's just really fun. And it just hit me. And it's like, you know what? I've been vegetarian though for like 20 years. But it just hit me. I don't usually cook that much. I have my staples, just a salad or pastas and rice, quinoa, but I don't get fancy. So I said, I want to, instead of, I can't eat unless I go out, especially when you're traveling to, states that don't have that or countries. So it's like, why don't I start learning at home? So I got a cookbook and I didn't touch it for a year. I'd open it and go, too much. So I thought, why don't I pull one little recipe? And I got it from her website. She has all these recipes and people who are cooking there. So I go, let me just get one recipe. And I said, here. And then that was Monday. On Wednesday, I'm going to get ingredients. So I could sit on it for a minute. And then I watched the video of how they make it while I was organizing or cleaning something. And then I said, I'm cooking Friday for my friends. And then, so by Friday, I always already had a little bit of the grocery shopping. So you get a little excited. Then you already watched a video on how to cook it. So you're more familiar. It's not like daunting. And then you cook. And then it's so fun. And you're like, wow, that came from nothing. And now I'm feeding all these people, especially non-vegetarians, of letting them try jackfruit tacos instead of just meat tacos, and Beyond Beef burgers with all this special sauce that's vegan sauce instead of mayonnaise and ketchup and traditional mustard. So it's really fun. And you start getting to introduce all these little factors. So I think everything is breaking it up. Same with dieting. I have so many clients, I can never lose weight, this and that. But once you say, you know what, put an image of what you want to look like, a realistic image, put a number that you want to be at, and just put that number everywhere. I have it on my mirror. I have it on my computer. I have it in my car. So it starts getting into you that that's your number, because your body goes to a certain weight and gets super comfortable there. And it's hard to get it down. Very easy to get it up or even a little higher, but hard to get it back down, especially the older you get. And then just when you're doing your morning exercises, just be mindful of the thing I told you earlier, of write down who you want to be. How do you look? What are your behaviors? What are your patterns? Everything that you'd love to see or that you admire in others. Like, Simone de Beauvoir wrote every morning for a half an hour. So let me take that on. Just journaling, not writing my books or anything. Anais Nin wrote in her diary. So that's, kind of the same thing of really deep personal stuff. So instead of just writing about my day, I'm going to go deep into emotions and feelings. Herman Hesse wrote about a book that changed everyone's lives. So I want to write a book through my travels and my experiences that really changed lives, not just entertainment, even though there's so much value in that. And you just go through it. Oprah has her own show. I'd love to get my own show. Then I got the Amazon show. So Audrey Hepburn just presents herself with such beauty, and grace. So, I'd love to carry myself that way instead of hunched over. So, I'm going to do yoga, and I'm going to do, so you put it in. I love yoga. Wow. Writing is my passion. Sharing and learning and sharing my learnings with others and helping people grow is my meaning of life. Then you just read that in the morning. Then I do a meditation with music, and then I record that, and I listen to that in a loop. This is who I am. And I put headphones in and an eye mask so you aren't affected by your environment. Because when you're just doing it like this, even you could go, you see where everything is. There's the piano, there's this, there's that. And you get caught up in who you are. But if you're trying to basically change your personality into someone who is an artist, is fit, is healthy, is a cook, takes care of themselves. It takes time. It takes rewiring because we weren't brought up like that. My
Yeah.
mom